Hello, everyone. How are you tonight? I'm going to have to do this. All right, cool. All right, guys. I'm going to read something here. It looks very interesting to me. I know this author. He's an objectivist. And also, guys, if you can like and subscribe to my channel, I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Um, so I'm going to just read and then check out your comments a little after. Okay. Cool. I'll just put it aside for now. So, okay. This is the moral issue of our time. I was discussing Ayn Rand yesterday and about her recognition of altruism as an evil thing, not as the thing that we're told is some kind of moral ideal. Well, it's not. It's not. Um, it should be, truth seeking, being rational, being honest people, being intellectually honest. Those are the things that really, really matter. Being selfless, not giving a shit for yourself and only for others, otherism. No, that's not the case. And from what I gather, Craig C. Bradley Thompson will be making the case here, and this is something new from an objectivist, based on Ayn Rand's philosophy and her recognition of this idea. Selfish has gotten a bad rap, has gotten a bad word. Selfless has become this again is something ideal that no one truly practices. No one really can't because we do have a self. We do have a self, and we have to honor it, not by denying its existence, but by honoring it, have been making the best self that we can of ourselves. So selflessness is not even an ideal. It's not even a reality. So according to C. Bradley Thompson, it is the moral issue of our time. When I was doing a show with Andrew Bernstein, um, it's the truth about culture and politics. I said in the first episode, I said, free speech is the issue of all time. Is the issue of all time, and Andrew agreed, and that was because again, without free speech, you can't persuade, you can't speak out, you can't argue, you can't defy evil, you can't write things against, write things on behalf of the good and against evil without free speech. But here, this is an important issue, the moral issue of our time by C. Bradley Thompson. Selfless on one side, selfish on the other side. And let's just see what he says here. I'm reading it along with you guys. I know him to be a very serious, thoughtful person. So, from what I gather from the talks I've seen him do, from the articles he's written for the books. So let me just go here. Let's make sure you guys can see this clearly enough. Okay. Thompson writes, this essay is the first of a multi-part series that offers an overview and analysis of how two ethical concepts, selfishness and selflessness, have been viewed by philosophers and theologians, and theologians throughout history. I consider this to be the deepest and most important issue in the history of ethical thought and practice. I consider this to be the deepest and most important issue in the history of ethical thought and practice. The audio version of this essay is linked below for paid subscribers. I think this is on Substack, I believe. So he says all civilizations are shaped and guided by. Now, just one thing, quick, guys. What do you think the Islamic world is based on? On individualism, on individual rights, on what's good for man, family, children, society, on what's rational. No, it's based on the selflessness that requires you to submit everything you are to Allah, to not have your own thoughts, to not have your own ideas, to not have anything. You submit, you put your butt up in the air, your head down, and just, you could have me, Allah. Do with me as you please. Unacceptable. And that is, they try to practice that kind of selflessness, and look at the result. It's a hellhole. So he says here, all civilizations are shaped and guided by some view of good and bad, right and wrong, virtue and vice, just and unjust. Across all cultures and through all time, virtually every moral issue can be reduced to one theoretical and practical problem, what we might call the problem of selfishness, which in turn is connected to one's view of human nature. The 17th century French mathematician and philosopher, Blaise Pascal, expressed a view of most philosophers and theologians on the selfishness problem. That's how they view it in his Pensies, 1688, when he wrote that man is born unjust, for all tends to self, and the propensity to self is the beginning of all disorder in war, in politics, in economy, and in a particular body of man. Pascal's view, which suggests that selfishness is man's original sin, has been the dominant view of philosophers and theologians for millennia, who have condemned selfishness as the heart of human darkness. That's a bleak, bleak take, but that's what they actually believe, and that's what a lot of people do. Also, this original sin concept, it's terrible. It is terrible. That's why a lot of conservatives they talk about original sin, and they talk about the unborn. And what they're saying by that, I think, is the unborn are pure. Once they're born, they're no longer pure. They're no longer pure. They have original sin. They're at birth tainted by coming out of the womb and being in this fallen world type thing. That's a terrible idea. Terrible idea. I know there are Christians here who want to back that up and believe it to be a good thing or something, or a truth. It's terrible. It really diminishes one's self in one's own eyes if one observes that. It is also true to say that, okay, sorry, there is no doubt that the adjective selfish, quote, and the noun selfishness are amongst the most used and abused words in the English language, 100%. They're also terms of opprobrium. These two words typically connote human behavior that is frequently frowned upon in polite society, in polite company, and many people consider the motivations and actions captured by these words to be the source of all evil. It is also true to say that the words selfish and selfishness are the most misunderstood terms in our moral lexicon. In our moral lexicon. One second, guys. Mike TV Dub, how's it going, man? Hell. Stormtrooper Julius Caesar, hell. Skull. Trevor, more Ayn Rand discussion? I'm in, absolutely. Hello, John. Hello, chat. Trevor says free speech allows the evil idea to expose itself. Absolutely. If speech is curbed for feelings, it allows shade to hide terrible ideas. 100%. Everything has to be out in the open. Once you start to think that some things can't be discussed openly, you're in a bad position. Free speech exposes the evil idea to reasonable men. If speech is curbed because of feelings, it allows shade to hide terrible ideas. Sorry, I think you just rewrote that. Yeah, you put free speech, but I got it. And again, this is an issue that I think we got to really consider, think about, and discuss openly. Discuss on these, on these kind of things. Even it shouldn't be reserved for philosophers in the highfalutin, halls of academia. It should be, and what Ayn Rand did in a lot of ways was she made it accessible. These kind of ideas and philosophy to the average reader. Pick up her books, her nonfiction books in particular. And again, selfish has gotten the worst rap of all, because if you think about it, you got selflessness, right? Which means no self, otherism, otherism, otherism. What is on the opposite side of that? Nasty, selfishness as an F everyone? No, it has to be some kind of, rational response to that. It can't be F me and everyone's good, or F everyone and I'm good. No, it has to be some kind of rational idea. And again, selfishness, the rational kind of selfishness, it encompasses you, your values, your friends, your family, your country, things that you value, philosophy, and so on and so on. It's an expansion. It's not just this narrow idea of just me, period. And people like that, in a lot of ways, they're always on their mind. That kind of narrow idea where everything is like, it grates them. It's like, certain people, like when you see certain people out in public and they have a certain car, or they have like a certain coat, they are their coat, they are their car. That's what defines them. It's a very limited view, but they have no rock solid self. And again, the idea of selflessness, think about that again, guys. First of all, it's impossible. We all have a self. There's one moment in the Fountainhead where Ellsworth Toohey, the villain, is talking to his niece, and he's telling her to transcend the self. That's what we have to do, right? In the end, we have to transcend the self, and then we can walk and get all the glory of what our. And she asked him a very simple question. Okay, if I get to that point, then who walks through? If there is no me anymore? And he's like, whoa. He didn't expect her to actually think that. He wanted to trick her into that. That's what a lot of rap bastards have done over the centuries. You're worthless. You're worthless. You're worthless. You're worthless. Everyone else has value except you. Terrible, terrible, corrupting ideas that are pushed constantly. Um, so let me just continue here for a few minutes, and then I'll go check out some comments. This is a little different here, but guys, it's just something that has. It just struck me. We were talking about that yesterday, and I just wanted to read from this yesterday. I didn't get a chance, so I'm going to read at least some of it today. It seems like a long article. It's a first in a long line coming. Let me just repeat this. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna continue. It is also true to say that the words selfish and selfishness are the most misunderstood terms in our moral lexicon. Indeed, no two words have induced as much intellectual and moral confusion as these two. In fact, there is so much uncertainty about what selfishness is and is not that it sometimes seems that we should use different words or invent new ones to describe what we mean by certain kinds of motivations, actions, and behaviors commonly associated with selfishness. For the moment, though, we are stuck with the word selfishness and its somewhat less abrasive and more palatable version, namely self-interest. Even that's looked down upon, though, guys. Whenever someone says I'm a self-interested person, they're frowned on. Give me 1 second, guys. 1 second. Thank you. Okay. In sum, the existential and moral reality of selfishness is the great problem to be solved in moral theory and practice. This essay and several to follow reopen the debate over the nature and meaning of selfishness and its antipode, selflessness. My goal is to understand what selfishness and selflessness are, how the concept selfishness and selflessness has been perceived and treated philosophically and theologically over time. I'm tripping over that word, theologically over time, and then to suggest a clearer way to think about what selfishness is or ought to be. This means that our study is partly descriptive, i.e., about the nature of human nature and how it has been understood by philosophers and theologians over time, and partly prescriptive, i.e., judging whether selfishness is good or bad. This first essay serves as an introduction to the series in which I identify the central themes, problems, and questions to be raised directly or indirectly in succeeding essays. The second essay puts the issue of selfishness in a broader historical context, particularly as it has been viewed in contrast to mankind's highest moral ideal, namely selflessness, or what is sometimes called altruism. I just, that's the one thing, again, if there's one issue, one thing that Ayn Rand brought to the fore, to the consciousness of individuals just who never even thought about these issues, is the idea of altruism and how destructive it is, ultimately, in the end. And it's not like a bad kind of altruism, altruism as such. Altruism as such, otherism. We're individuals and we should value our lives and not at the expense of others. And again, it's either or. This is the problem, because they say either be selfish, fuck everyone, or be selfless, fuck me. It's like, that's terrible. I reject both. It's stupid, but that's where we are, and that's where we've been for a long time. Trevor says no tree speech. The conversations are too wooden. Hilarious. Tree speech rarely bear any fruit. Funny. I'll see myself out. No problem, Trevor. Those puns are fun. Selfism. Interesting. That's an interesting way of putting it. Instead of selfishness and self-interest, selfism. But then again, that's like that's too much, I think, of a concentration on on that idea. It's like self. And again, the self is important. The ego is important. A healthy ego, not one that is tiny and crippled and has to be, you know, validated at every moment and also defended at every moment. Like, what'd you say? What'd you say? You know, no. You should be have the wherewithal to withstand criticism, withstand a lot of stuff if you're a healthy ego. If you don't have a healthy ego, you could be taken by anyone at any time. Happy's Funhouse. Hey, I just backed Pigman. When do you think books will ship? Around July. Happy's Funhouse. Thank you very much. Here's my campaign. Um, Thank you very much. By the way, Happy's Funhouse. Appreciate it. I'm at 183, $12,086. And in 5 days, that's what I've been able to muster. It's awesome. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it. What was I going to say? I put those ads today. I bought 2 ads, and the last one did really is over 200,000 views. I got some good return. I think I got four or five backers based on that. So it surpassed what I put in today alone. I don't know how long it lasts though. It looks like it's still active, but I just don't know how long they last. I was just curious. I heard that I think Jared July uses them. Um, I just wanted to see if I could use it and see how it works. And so far, so good. After I got it, I got 4 backers. Did it? I don't know. Did it get all new people who never saw my stuff before? I hope so. Or did it remind people who are on my feed also? Because it goes all over. It goes. I think they said it would expand to 20 to 30,000. It was again over 200,000 views. So that's awesome. Mike TBW says altruism destroyed Nikola Tesla. Man tried to make a better world for all and got used by Westinghouse and Edison. That's the thing, man. Even the greatest of men, right? They can be taken in by this. And it's a terrible thing because it's like, and again, guys, I know this flies in the face of most religion, most philosophy, most individuals, most anything, ideologies. But it's the one thing that Rand recognized that no one else has as an evil. This one moral ideal that has been passed on from almost every religion, that is evil, to shit on yourself, to talk about original sin, to once you're born, you're tainted, in this fallen world and whatever. And that's why I really can't stand like when a guy like Dan Bongino talking about, look, man, I'm a how do you put it? I'm like a worthless human being. Um, Jason Whitlock, I'm nothing, man. I mean, I am zero. I'm a low life. That's impossible for me to ever even think that. It's just impossible for some to spit in my face like that. These guys do it, and then they talk about how they're Lord and Savior. It's like, yeah, and then they also talk about don't revere others, don't idolize others, don't have others as idols, and then talk about my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Like, okay, you're idolizing Him, and I'm not saying idolize yourself. Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. Value yourself. Know your worth. Don't let anyone shit on you like that. I don't care who it is. Your God, your family, father. To diminish yourself, to say you're really nothing. Don't forget that you're nothing. It's a terrible, terrible thing. Trevor says theologians can't really address the issue intellectually because they are already compromised to the idea. Yeah. Theology demands subservience to a higher ideal at the expense of the individual. 100%. It's locked in. It's baked in. And they can't budge from this. In their minds, like, who are you to tell us? This has been, part of our religion forever. This has been part of the general public forever. Trevor says Jack show is on. John and Cecil can move some books. Never accept honor or guilt. I know. I just I got this week, and I'm going to finish this for a bit, and then I got to do something. But I was on there last week as well, and it was cool. I was just so exhausted. But yeah, I got this schedule. It'll be back to normal next week, so I'll see. I'll definitely, hopefully, I can get on at some point. Trevor, never accept honor or guilt. Never, ever. He did something wrong. Okay, I get it. Ha. Art, Bosch Falls, an inspirational speaker. Value yourself. Hell yeah. It's true though. We need to value ourselves. We need, first of all, value ourselves for things that we have said and done. Value ourselves for actual things. Excuse me. This popped up. Huh. Okay. Meaning this, guys, you build a self. You build a self to value. You don't just value yourself for that, okay, that's it. No matter what I do, no matter what I am, it doesn't matter. I'm going to value myself. No, no, you're going to have to earn your own self-respect. Self-respect is earned also. Um, deserve what, John? So let me read a little more and go back and forth with you guys. And also, I'm going to mention, of course, I am promoting Pigment number one. If you're on the fence, let me know. I'll try to persuade you. If not, I'm going to read a little here. Pigment number one. The Islamic background of twins comes to the forefront of their lives on 9/11, which is echoed by the comic book within Pigman vs. Super Jihad. And again, it's at 183 backers in 5 days. I got $12,000, over $12,000, 183. I'm good. I know there's one guy, he's annoying. His name is Big Daddy. He tagged me on YouTube. I don't know why he tagged me. He's some loser who, I don't know, he fancies himself Big Daddy something, dumb name. And so I go to that link just out of curiosity. He has very, very, very few viewers. And then he made a clip of it, of Pigman and Isom, right? And then he's yapping away about how he used to talk all about Eric July. He was the first, sure, small mommy. And then, and now he's like, hey, I'm going to, and he says now it's like, yeah, but Eric's getting his books out. At least he get them out. It's like, they're shit. What do you mean at least he's getting shit out? Great. That's a great achievement. And then he just started trashing me and he goes, Fosh Boston. And I'm like, I checked out. It's corny. It's stupid. I know he wants my attention. And I just mentioned him here, but it's just so stupid. It's so, when your enemies suck, it sucks. Because it's like you want some at least, like, where the hell's an Ellsworth 2E out there? Sure as hell not out there. You got some real idiots out there. They're not, a formidable enemy that you can take on and go back and forth intellectually. They're not. But anyway, it was really, really stupid, and he was all over the place, trying to have some attitude of something. He's a nothing. I think Ethan brought him up in Trashcast once and says, "Big Daddy," he goes, I don't even call you. I don't even address you that way. Get out of here. He stopped listening. Some loser who hates Comicsgate now, I guess. Now, trashing Comicsgate. Just tired. I saw other people. They made a video of me here and there, right? I don't watch those things. I just don't, and I truly don't. I know people say, "Oh yeah, you." I don't. Why the hell would I? I mean, I'm not going to go out of my way to find people who are trashing me. That's their purpose. Sometimes it's on my feed. I can't help it. But go out of my way to watch a video, put play, and sit there and take it. No, it's a waste of time. And I don't need the kind of, again, I don't need to say to defend myself against accusations by idiots. Myself as we're discussing here is strong enough where I can withstand that. I don't feel compelled to say I got to defend myself against these idiots. They're idiots. They're losers. Okay. Art Hyde at 12K. Fire. Absolutely, man. It's awesome. Again, I'm very pleased. I'm hearing from others that is a shit. Hey, whatever. Hamilton Berger says, how is altruism different from patriotism, which involves submitting to a greater whole? No, it's a big difference, Hamilton. Doesn't lacking altruism lead to libertarianism, which has some pretty whack ideas? Libertarianism sucks. Some of them, they fancy themselves still like they're liberty lovers and all that, and they still appreciate Ayn Rand. No, they're might as well be leftists in a lot of ways. They think nothing's worth fighting for. No war, no defense. 9/11 was not done by jihadists. It was done by us in some way. Patriotism is a different story. It's pride in one's country. You can have that, and value yourself. As I said, Hamilton, a healthy self, values itself, values, selfishly, rationally, values itself, values its friends, its family, its country, the better world out there, the better people out there. There's a value there. We are social creatures. We're not these You know, I mean, I'm a loner, but I do like good people. I do interact. I do like interacting with them. I enjoy it. I love going back and forth. And if it's a formidable enemy, good. But there are none. I mean, I gotta say they're mostly stupid, especially these freaks who've been coming around. And you know what? You could, whatever's being said, right, about my campaign, it sucks. Then why are you coming after me? Why are you making videos about me? To me, it's pretty damn good. It's my first campaign, 5 days, $12,000, 183. Hey man, I'm not satisfied. I want to keep going. But for now, 5 days, I'm good, man. This is very good. I want to keep pushing it, of course. So Hamilton, yeah, it's not either or, you know. How is altruism different from patriotism, which involves submitting to it? Patriotism doesn't involve submitting at all. There's no submission involved. I can value my country, the founding in particular of America, without submitting anything. I'm not giving myself up to do that. I'm just acknowledging the fact that this is a valuable country, a great country at its founding, and it still can be great. It still can be even greater. That doesn't require submission at all. It just requires an acknowledgement that we live in a country that is unlike any in history, and be proud of that fact. Why? That's why people come. They die to get here. Literally die. Art says, "Let my enemies be ridiculous." And Voltaire. That's very good. Yeah, love it. Hamilton says, like Archelaus is, "I'll wear the Trump hat only if he cuts my personal tax to zero." Sort of dumb libertarian ideas. I mean, sure, that's stupid. That's retarded. And also one thing, he's really stupid. He has that narrow self-interest that's poisonous. Meaning, yo, man, I don't give a fuck what happens out there. I will not do anything in order to bring the result of having a guy like Trump in there, and then to wipe out the internal revenue, the IRS, right? Meaning he didn't do anything, he didn't say anything in order for that, make that happen. But then he'll say, you know what? Okay, I didn't do anything. I'll be the beneficiary of this. But if he wipes out the IRS, then I'm gonna give you guys the honor of wearing that hat. You can say, wow, thank you, Eric. That's an arrogant SOB. That's stupid. And that's a very petty, tiny, unhealthy ego talking. It really is. He did nothing to get this position, to get to this point. He's only the beneficiary of it. And that's stupid. Very stupid. Mike TVW says, we're definitely heading toward idiocracy. Hope not. We're already there, John says. I don't think so, guys. I think that's too cynical of you. You know, where there are still good things happening, great people, and it's just that we've been inundated. We've been dumbed down on purpose, guys, by the left, by communists, by Islam, dumbed down on purpose, not allowed to reach our highest selves, not allowed to individuate, not allowed to get to know ourselves at our peak, you know, to level up. You know, we're always told, like, hey man, you ain't shit. And we're like, a lot of us, yeah, that's true. No, unacceptable. George says, to Hamilton, he goes, patriotism is pride in one's country, a country that you can affect policy-wise. Absolutely. It's not either or. It's not like, and also it's not a submission act. It's not an act of submission. It's an act of acknowledgement that for all the things that we see in this country, all the bad, from our politicians to the media to the scum, that is all that counteracts, that contradicts America and its founding. Meaning, if I see the left doing their thing, I can't stand this also. I remember the Lotus Eaters, who I mentioned earlier, who I was a fan of until October 7th, when they sold out the truth for Jew hatred. When they said, that's not our thing, man. It's a foreign war. No, dummy, that's your war. The same enemy who wiped all those Jews out, wiped out those Americans in 9/11, the British on July 5th, 2005, and so on across the entire world. It's the same enemy, same war. But they couldn't get over their, again, if not Jew hatred, it is just a callousness that is dangerous for one's own humanity. That kind of callousness, to not give a fuck for innocent victims getting mass raped and mass slaughtered because of their, you know, geography, because of their religion, because of their whatever. Terrible. One says, sure, but how is that materially different from the religious altruism Ayn Rand argues against? It's a big difference, Hamilton. A big difference because again, patriotism is again, it's not. There's no submission required. It is just an acknowledgement of how great this country was and can be. And again, whenever America is at its worst, when you have people in positions of power and influence who hate the country. And I remember like Sargon of Akkad said, "Look what's happening in America. Ugh, bitch, your country's pretty fucked right now because of the left. Our country was getting that road because of the left. All it needs is to have some decent, self-respecting Americans who love the country, like Trump and his whole crew. They love the country. They want to see it done well. They want to see the country do well. You know, you guys right now are in a mess because of the leaders you chose, or at least the majority chose. You get them out, you get some rational leaders, all of a sudden you're back to normal. You're back to normal. Um, Hamilton says, to be clear, I'm trying to figure out where pride and community patriotism crosses over into Rand's altruism. I don't think so. It doesn't, Hamilton. I think we're talking about two different things here. Again, otherism. That's unacceptable. Patriotism, it's a shared feeling that Americans have for their country. The pride that we have in the fact that we live in the greatest country in the history of the world, no matter how the ups and downs happen, no matter how the anti-Americans take over and hurt us constantly, the way they always do, no matter of our corrupt media, which is dominated by anti-American leftists, you know, we can still recognize the fact that this is still a good country and it can get back to greatness. Make America great again. That's not just a slogan. You know, it acknowledges the fact that we were great and we can be great again and even greater. So, Trevor says, choice. I'm not forced to be patriotic. Equivalent exchange. My country provides me with safety and opportunity, and I choose to celebrate it. Absolutely. And you know, it's an acknowledgement again of the fact that this country enshrines the the freedom of expression, the freedom of speech. It enshrines it in our laws. It has the power of law behind it to back it up. It's not just this amorphous, you know, freedom. Now we all have free speech. All beings do. Governments deny them that. Governments deny them that. But we all have it. And this country, like unlike any other one, enshrines that freedom in our First Amendment, enshrines our freedom to self-defense in our Second Amendment, and so on. And that right there, you know, distinguishes us from all other countries. First and Second Amendment distinguishes us, and we should be proud of that. And it doesn't require us to be selfless about that. You could be as rationally, you know, selfish as you can be, and still be a patriot and recognize it. Happy's Funny Style says, "Who are we talking about?" I'm not sure. I'm not talking about who. We're talking about these concepts of altruism, selfishness, and collectivism, and individualism. Ayn Rand and her take on altruism. Okay, okay. If you're talking about an individual, then that's who we're talking about. But I think we're talking about the concepts here more so than just Ayn Rand. Versus altruism is exchanging guilt for being successful for charity, essentially holding you hostage for the crimes of achievement. Damn, that's well put, Trevor. It's poisonous stuff, man. It's poisonous stuff, and we have to get out of that, or else we cannot live, you know, these full, rich lives that we ought to live, that we should live. And again, you know, to succeed at others' expense, that's rotten. And also to succeed only by others, that's also rotten. And then to, you know, dismiss others or to elevate others, to revere others unjustifiably, that's rotten too. And, you know, and then of course, well, then you could revere yourself. No, I don't revere myself. I acknowledge my value without being too, you know, out of control about it. Like, you know, again, where I have to dismiss all others. No, that's just stupid. That's not rational. It's irrational. So I just want to mention again, guys, my campaign, Pigman. I'm up to 183 backers, $12,000, over $12,000 in 5 days. Very, very pleased with it. No matter what anyone tries to use this as an example. Look, CG's dying. Look at this. It's my first campaign, guys. I'm relatively new on this space, even though I've been around. I've been lurking around in CG for, I guess, now 7, 8 years. 8 years. I think 2017. JJ Trujillo posted a link, a screenshot where I was um, commenting on your boy Zach's one of his videos years ago. I used to watch him, watch Ethan, and back and forth. And um, John says, "I dig me, and that's enough." Yeah, we should value ourselves. Uh, the extent of it, that's up to you. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you how to value yourself, but we should. Don't degrade yourself. Don't diminish yourself, especially on behalf of others, to make others like you. Almost, it's like, uh, I'm shit. Yeah, me too. Yeah, let's be friends. Like, yeah, that just doesn't work. But that's what we're taught over and over again, not to value yourself, and that's dangerous. That's an evil. It's not an evil. So let me go back to this, guys. I'm going to read a little more from here. Go back and forth with you guys, but to me, this is it is true. It is my goal to understand the moral issue of our time. We are here, I believe. Let me continue. This is C. Bradley Thompson, objectivist. He's a professor, I think, in Clemson. My goal is to understand what selfishness and selflessness are, how the concepts selfishness and selflessness has been perceived and treated philosophically and theologically over time, and then to suggest a clearer way to think about what selfishness is or ought to be. This means that our study is partly. I read this. I'm sorry, guys. Apologize. I don't know what happened here. We'll attempt to resolve the conflict by making the philosophical case for selfishness rightly understood. Okay. Even if I read this, guys, I'm going to reread this and go from there. And again, we go back and forth. And you guys have any questions about anything? Let's make it what was it? Ask any questions. What's the term? I forgot what it is. I can read a little more, guys, and then I'll be signing off soon. Let me sign off in 40 minutes. I'll time it here. 40 minutes. I will check out. I'll be back tomorrow also, though, early in the day, like yesterday and today. I want to really promote this campaign of mine. I'm proud of it. I want it to be successful as can be. I'm not sitting on my laurels and like, okay, that's it. No, I want it to go as high as it could. Ask me anything. AMA, thanks, man. Okay, so the first essay serves as an introduction to the series in which I identify the central themes, problems, and questions to be raised directly or indirectly in succeeding essays. The second essay puts the issue of selfishness in a broader historical context, particularly as it has been viewed in contrast to mankind's highest moral ideal, namely selflessness, or what is sometimes called altruism, otherism. It's so sad that that's a moral ideal where you don't matter, only others do, and that is the moral ideal. It is a moral ideal in most philosophies, most religions, most ideologies. It is. That's how you get masses of people slaughtered. That's what happens when individuals don't matter. When the group matters at the expense of the individual. Essay 3 demonstrates how a troika of related concepts, i.e., selfishness, interest, and self interest, began to be reinterpreted beginning sometime in the 17th century. The fourth essay examines how late 18th and early 19th century Americans developed a reality based view of self interest grounded in a new science of morality. Essay 5 will examine how and why 19th and 20th century philosophers and theologians reacted against a newfound appreciation for self interest. Finally, a sixth essay, if there is to be one, will examine the hidden contradiction in America's philosophic principles, and I will attempt to resolve that conflict by making the philosophic case for self-interest rightly understood. How we understand the selfishness problem ultimately determines the kind of moral code, society, political institutions, and economic system that will shape and govern our lives. If you believe that a self-regarding ethic is morally proper, for instance, then you will no doubt support a free society with laissez-faire government. By contrast, if you believe that an other regarding ethic is morally proper, then you will no doubt support some form of social and political collectivism and statism. While this series of essays will not address and develop the political economic systems associated with the competing self and other regarding ethics, it will certainly indicate, in general terms, the obvious political and economic forms derived from each moral foundation. I'm going to read this section and then I think we can continue another time. I just want to see something quick, guys. I just want to see something quick. If he continued this, um, okay, I think this is a little different here. I wonder what's, huh? One second, guys. Okay, let's see. Huh, okay, I guess I have to get his account, but let me see if I can get back to that at least for now. Okay. I can't do reader again? Okay, that's very weird. I thought I was able to do reader again. Sorry, guys, 1 second. I can't get to reader for some reason, the way I was just there. Very, very strange. Okay. Let me see what's going on here. Trevor says, that's why if you respect yourself, you'll soon find others to exchange respect with. A marketplace of values, absolutely. You know, if you're a valuable person to yourself, if you value yourself, if you respect yourself, you end up with people who more or less are the same. And they make for the best relationships. They're not parasitic on you, they're not reliant on you in any fundamental way. They want to share a surplus of value that they have, that they built within themselves. They're not at a deficit where they need you for your whatever you can give them, whatever it may be. That's a parasitical relationship. Um, Shore says, for example, if you find an artist who makes something you find value in, there is no greater show of respect than exchanging value and purchasing it. Absolutely. No doubt about it. And so sometimes you feel compelled to do it. It's like when when I found out that Batman Year One is going to come out, I mean, locked it up, and that was it. And the only reason why I didn't get it right away is because it said it'll come like in a month. I was like, no, I want it now. So I kept looking for it locally. Nobody would have it. And then I finally did order it, and it came at least a week or two prior to when it was supposed to, which is awesome because that's a must-have. It's gotten to the point where it's not like I want it. It's like I need it. I gotta have it. And there's not many things out there that are like that, at least at this point in my life. But it's like I gotta have it. It's that great a value. R says, Trevor, I thought the greatest show of respect was cropping their ad out and reposting it without giving credit. Their copyright. I thought the greatest show of respect was cropping their. If you could elaborate on that, Art, I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about, but are you talking about people who steal others people's art? Because that's happened to me a number of times. They love my art so much, right? They cut my name off and share it out there and take credit for it, and they're thanked for it. It's really bad. It's a bad practice. I hate it. It's happened so much that I don't know. I even had this one folder of mine in all these times where people stole my things, not just shared it without my name, but actually tried to push my stuff with their name, change a color a bit, and flip the art. That's how extreme it was. And it used to really piss me off. Now it bugs me. Not as much pissed off, but it bugs me. So let me go, let me read this section. Selfishness versus selflessness. And again, guys, this is incredibly important. It's something that if you were to ask most people, where would they land between the two? Are you, rationally selfish, or are you selfless? Hamilton says that art for probably, yeah, I just want to know exactly what that was about, though, in reference to what exactly, because I've seen it happen. Selfishness versus selflessness for over 2,500 years. Yeah, just talking about that. I don't get why they go through the effort of cropping the name out. It's weird. Are you referring to me when they do that with me? If you are, sorry. I thought you were talking to Trevor about something very specific with him. Apologize. It's happened to me. They take my art and they throw it out there. One of my except my mama cartoons. Why do you think that they don't try to pass it off as their own? How funny is that? How telling is that? And damning. Let me finish a few paragraphs here, guys, and then I'll go back and forth with you guys about whatever you want. Selfishness versus selflessness. For over 2,500 years, the world's best moral thinkers have tackled the selfishness question, i.e., is acting in one's own is one's self-interest moral or immoral, a virtue or a vice, which has been at the heart of all serious thinking and debate relative to the question of how men should act in a social context. The default assumption of virtually every philosopher, theologian, and modern academic over the course of the last 2 millennia is that selfishness is the source of all moral vice and the root of all evil, and its antipode, selflessness, is the source of moral virtue and the root of all good. Selfishness, commonly understood, means putting greed before the needs of others, and selflessness most often means putting the needs of others before one's petty interests. I think about that also. They all speak in terms of petty interests. How about self interest? How about my interests? You can call them petty, but how about just my interests? How about that? That's a crime? I guess it is for some moralizers. The all too common view is woven deeply and tightly into our cultural DNA. Most children are taught as their first moral lesson to stop being so selfish and to think of others first as their second. Our moral instructors tell us that man is naturally selfish, i.e., the problem, as in man is evil. And stop being evil. Stop being a man. Stop being a human being. Human beings are evil. They're naturally selfish, so stop being a human being. Start being, something that rejects your own humanity, that rejects your own self interest. Um, our moral instructors tell us that man is naturally selfish, i.e., the problem, but selfless is what we ought to be, i.e., the solution. In standard English usage, the common understanding of the adjective selfish and the noun selfishness have almost always connoted a pejorative meaning. At the very least, selfishness implies venal motives, greedy grasping, and caring only for oneself over against all others, and sometimes even at the expense of others. Indeed, in the historical and contemporary imagination, selfishness is treated as a form of moral retardation that invokes the image of a lying, cheating, and stealing predatory reprobate who is willing to hurt other people to satisfy his or her immediate low rent whims. Selfishness, it is said, leads politically and economically to a society ruled by greed, exploitation, inequality, the dog eat dog principle, and the survival of the fittest. To tell someone that they are acting selfishly is always meant as a criticism and a vice and never as a praise and a virtue. It can't be all it just can't be all fuck me, everyone's great, or fuck everyone, I'm great. It can't, that's so stupid, but that's my God where we are if you break it down. That's why some people are afraid of it actually taking a hold, where that's the only basic forms, there. It's dangerous stuff. It's very dangerous. Um, art, I think, were you talking about the fact that people take my art and remove my name and post it out there as their own or something else? I'm sorry, I'm a little lost again. Left Nut says dangerously stupid. Um, what is dangerously stupid? The ideas, and I don't know you, so you or the idea is being um, exchanged here. Let's see. By contrast, the definitions of the adjective selfless and the noun selflessness have almost always connoted a positive meaning. At the very least, selflessness implies altruistic self sacrifice and caring for others at one's own expense. Indeed, in the historical and contemporary imagination, selflessness is treated as a form of moral enlightenment that invokes the image of a loving, charitable, moral saint. Think Mother Teresa, who is willing to sacrifice his or her own interests for the needs of others. Now, guys, I don't know if you read The Fountainhead, guys. I don't know if you read Atlas Shrugged, but one of Rand's most important nonfiction books is The Virtue of Selfishness, where she identified this, in I guess, a more direct nonfiction philosophical way than in her novels. Her novels, it dramatizes all of this, but that's when she, took it to task to dissect it in a very direct way, explicitly, not in a fictional way. That's one of her most important, I think, books outside of her novels, The Virtue of Selfishness. Um, Trevor says, I would almost say the idea of altruism goes against the very concept of respect. Yeah. If you give charity to a bum, do you respect him or think somehow you're above him somehow? Yeah. And that's the last thing he needs. He needs to get off his ass and do something. He needs to do something, not be given any kind of charity. Now, for a limited helping hand, maybe somehow, if it's a family member, if it's someone you love, if it's someone down and out, yeah, for a very limited time, get on your feet and then go. But to be a constant parasite, no. Art says, yeah, that they do it to everyone. Like, if you like something enough to share it, why do you cut the artist name out? People are weird. Yeah. But again, they don't do it with my mama cartoons. They don't try to take credit for my mama cartoons. Trevor says, if a man offers to shine your shoes at the very least, you expect the effort of him to work and earn for himself. He values his work and you value his effort. That's the thing. Anyone, it's like even when you got fat people at gyms, people mock them sometimes, right? No, man. These people, they're there. They got their fat asses off the couch, went in the car, went to the gym, and want to do something about it. Sometimes you see them though, they're not really doing much about it, but they're trying to at least, or they're trying to show others that they're trying to do something about it. Some of them at least, or they do it for a limited time for whatever reason. But meaning it's like they're starting to value themselves, and it's tough when you're a fat pig. It is tough. It's like, God damn it, this sucks. I'm carrying this load around me. But they at least. It's like when I see fat people around the area jogging. Respect. That's a tough way to go about it. Instead of just going to a gym on some kind of slow treadmill, whatever, they're jogging, and it's difficult for them, especially with that weight. But they're doing something about it. Good for them that they're beginning to value themselves after they ate themselves into oblivion. It's terrible. I love food. I think most of us do, but that's not the point. They gorge. Um, Trevor says, Bosch is trying to fat shame me. You won't get me in the gym this week, Boston. It's funny, man. I think it's important, guys. It's like, I remember seeing some objectivists at the conferences, right? And an objectivist had to tell sometimes the audience, say, guys, our bodies are important, not just our minds. Our bodies are important too. And you have to explicitly say that. It's, we tend to forget that, especially intellectuals. They figure, yeah, my body takes me around to go to the books, to go to the library, to go to bookstore, to go to conferences. That's what my body's for. And that's more than that. And you could be around for a lot longer if you take care of yourself. It's important. And you got to find a way. There's always a way to be in better shape, to be at any age. I mean, just to take care of yourself, to value yourself, as we're talking about here, right? A selfless person, what would they do, guys? Would they take care of themselves? Would they eat well? Would they exercise? Would they take care of themselves if they're selfless? No, they wouldn't. They would not. By contrast, the definition of the adjective selfless and the noun selflessness have always connoted a positive meaning. At the very least, selflessness implies altruistic self-sacrifice and caring for others at one's own expense. Indeed, in the historical and contemporary imagination, selflessness is treated as a form of moral enlightenment. I'm sorry, guys, I read that. Apologize. Let me finish up here. To tell someone that they are acting selflessly is always meant as a compliment and as a virtue, and never as criticism and advice. In essential terms, selfishness and selflessness represent mankind's fundamental moral alternative. If there was a binary conversation about that, that is truly what it is. Are you selfish or selfless? Which one? Are you good or evil? Which one? That's the idea. In essential terms, selfishness and selflessness represent mankind's fundamental moral alternative. And whichever path forward we choose morally, we will have long term ramifications for our social relations, our politics, and our economics. The pro selfish alternative leads socially to individualism, politically to laissez faire government, and economically to free markets. The anti self, pro selfless choice leads socially to any one of several forms of collectivism, politically to statism, and economically to socialism. These are, as I shall demonstrate, objective, historically demonstrable facts. It's well put, man. C. Bradley Thompson. Again, this is C. Bradley Thompson, objectivist professor. Um, Great stuff. Um, Trevor says, I've been making so many lifestyle changes since Jane died. The gym is on the list. Um, I don't know of the situation there, Trevor. Maybe you want to message me at some point on X. I'm sorry, I don't know. Now I have an idea, and if it is what I think it is, I'm very sorry, and we'll go back and forth on it. Oh, it says Trevor, eat creatine. That's right. Just with a spoon. Trevor says, I need to get my procrastinating ass into my own channel and start making. Hell yeah, absolutely. Then get this book out. That get this book put out now that I'm free to do so. Absolutely, Trevor. I look, man. Anyone who has anything worthwhile saying it's the better, the more the better. Meaning, people have worthwhile things to say about out there. I'm not talking about business channels. I'm talking about people who have something worthwhile to share. Okay, I did not know. I am always, I gotta say, because of my selfishness, because of my, it's true. I'm out of the loop at times. I am. Um, and by the way, I used to see you on Facebook. I'm not on there. I can't get back in for some reason. I want to get back in. I have 12,000 followers on there. I have 2,000, 3,000 followers from one page. So it's about 15,000 followers. I want to get back in there and promote this campaign. I can't get in. They're requiring some kind of code. I don't have a code. A saved code? What code? I don't know. If anyone knows, if you can help me out, message me. I would appreciate it because I just don't know what to do. But I do want to get back in there, and I want to promote my channel, my campaign. Let me read a little more, guys, and then I'll go back and forth with you. Okay. This is the fundamental alternative we confront. These are our inescapable choices. All other options are variations on these two choices, and choose we must. But let us also be reminded of the fact that just as one should not mix food and poison, so one should not mix good and evil. We must pursue the good relentlessly and always, and though we may not achieve it all the time, it must be our pole star. For many, though, the choice is not quite so obvious or clear. There is much intellectual fog all around this issue. Let's consider a few obvious problems. And that intellectual fog, I think it's on purpose. Again, people want to confuse us. They want to, especially the young, they want to get us while we're young to corrupt us away from, valuing the self and turning it into valuing society at the expense of the self. That is the message, you know. Ha! Trevor says, it's cool. My selfishness assumed everyone is obsessed with me. Hilarious. Um, I like how people sometimes make jokes about that, about how their value, their selfishness. It's funny. I don't really speak in terms of those things either. It's like I'm not explicitly. I'm not explicit about those things. I'm selfish. It's such an integrated part of my life that I take it as a given now, and it's important to value yourself, not at the expense of others, and not and all that. And that's I think what this essay is trying to make clear as well. Um, but to just value yourself because you're told not to by so many different, and in a lot of ways they're all the same. They're in that issue, most belief systems, religions, ideologies are the same on that issue. Where fuck you, everyone matters except you. Unacceptable. It makes for a society that doesn't value itself. If you don't value yourself, you don't value. A society can't value quote unquote itself. It can't. And we know whereas people are, if they value themselves, they value their relationships, they value those that they're with. They don't get into these poisonous parasitic relationships, which are just self destructive. It's hilarious. He told me that the universe has no way. It's funny. there's always that compensatory thing. Also, people. I think it was one person saying something like he's always self conscious when he walks down the street because people are looking. So it says they're really not looking. They have their own lives. The guy's like, huh. It's funny. I don't know if it was in a movie or a book I read, but the idea where like everyone's watching me, they're really not. They're really not. They have their own lives. Now, if you're walking around with blue hair and a dress and you a mustache, yeah, you're asking for it. You're asking for it. They'll be watching you and laughing. I don't give a shit where they come, where they profess to come from. Even leftists probably like they'll start to snicker and then, oh, bravo, yeah. For many, though the choice is not quite obvious, so obvious or clear, there is much intellectual fog around the issue, all around this issue. Let's consider a few obvious problems. I'm going to read two more paragraphs and then get going, guys. I do want to get go back and forth with you guys on this. If you have any, you know, follow-ups or thoughts, or and then I'm going to discuss Pigman. Selfishness and selflessness obviously represent conflicting moral principles, but is it true that selfishness cannot be reconciled with kindness, generosity? Now, this is an important thing here because people do have this question sometimes. But is it true that selfishness cannot be reconciled with kindness, generosity, benevolence, sharing, and cooperation with other people? And what about love? Is love selfish or selfless? If selfishness is a virtue, is it morally wrong to love one's life, not to mention one's love life? If one loves to live and loves one's own life, i.e., one's career, family, friends, hobbies, etc., is not necessarily selfish and therefore a bad thing. But that is purely prima facie absurd. And what about self knowledge and Socrates' admonition to know thyself? What could be more selfish than self knowledge? And yet we typically think of self knowledge as an unadulterated good. How do we square that circle? Likewise, is it not true that selflessness can be and has been the source of great cruelty, meanness, malevolence, division, and brotherly hate? If it is, it also that selflessness goes to collectivism because if the self sucks, then the group is good. And when the group is good, the group can get away with that with murder because there's no accountability. It's everyone is thinking the same way, right? There's no one's taking responsibility for that. It goes into this mob mentality, and that's when the individual can be done away with cruelly, callously. Um, what if selflessness is a virtue? Then why have so many atrocities been committed by those who claim to love and speak in the name of others? What are we to think of a philosophy which says that it is moral, more moral to help two people in Africa than it is to help one's own wife? There is that. But surely this prima facie absurd. I'm not sure if this is prima facie absurd. Hundreds of millions of people have been slaughtered through history in the name of moral teachings that sanctify death and destruction in the name of selflessness. How do we square that circle? This much seems clear, and any understanding of defense of selfishness or selflessness must have good answers to these kinds of questions and many more. By the end of this series, I hope to do just that. Okay, so I'm going to stop here, guys. We're going to stop here what selfishness is and is not. In the meantime, I'm just want to mention my campaign and talk a little about Pigman, whatever you guys want to talk about. If you guys have any thoughts on what you heard here, also, I'd like to go back and forth with you. Because again, for some, I think this is flies in the face of your own teachings, your own philosophy, your own religion, your own ideology, whatever it may be. Um, guys, can you selflessly get my account, get my backers up to 500 selflessly, guys? Can you? And that's the thing, also, right? I want you guys to get this for yourselves. I want you to feel like, damn, I want to. That sounds interesting. I want to get that. Um, it's like marrying someone. Like, yeah, she needs me, man. She really needs me. I'll marry her. What? No, you should love her. You should need her, and she should love you and need you. And in terms of need, also, you could say that someone said, this one character in my first graphic novel said, I when I realized I don't need anyone, when I realized that I don't need anyone, ultimately, when she's doing well, she needed him. And it's not the kind of necessity where it's like a parasite. No, but she has reached her own potential. She has reached her self worth, valuing herself, and therefore she wanted to be with this guy who also values himself, and so on. Um, Trevor says selfishness and selflessness is a major theme in the Army NCO creed. When I had to reconcile for myself, I imagine so, man. I imagine so, Trevor, because again, that's where that idea is also pushed hard. Where individualism means nothing; it's all about the group. But in war, it is about the group. Ultimately, you can't go one man and do it. Now there are situations where you might end up alone and can do some damage and maybe even be killed. But the point is, in that context, the value in that context is that you're part of a group that is working towards something, and destroying an enemy that would destroy the innocent. So it's interesting if you think about it, because then you really gotta, if you're a thoughtful person, you're gonna have to consider these things. It's not easy. It's a whole different set of questions you gotta ask and answer. Hopefully, you can answer them well and realize that you're doing something worthwhile, instead of realizing, wait, damn, that was a complete worthless, and it was selfless. And no, it's a value. I mean, and us Americans who aren't in the military, we should appreciate the hell out of it, because again, we can't do what we do, meaning live our lives in peace, relative comfort, and all that, without those who are willing to take it to the line, like a Trevor and others. Um, Trevor says, "I selfishly bought your art and books." That's right, but it's true. When I buy someone's books, I don't fancy myself doing them a favor. I don't want to hear that from anyone or me to tell anyone. Imagine that. Imagine people saying, "All right, Bosh, I'll get your book because it looks like you need it. It looks like you need the help." I'm like, don't do that. Get it because you find it interesting, because you think it might give you value. And one thing also, I put it in this way today. I don't think I put it this way before. People talk about whether there's a vacuum in the market, right? And the thing that you know that that fills it, it's like there's a vacuum of anti-jihad superheroes out there, except for Pigman. He fills that vacuum. He absolutely does. And if I think of it in those terms, I never really thought about in those terms before, in terms of the marketplace and what is lacking. We have more than enough Muslim superheroes. We have only one, anti-jihad superhero. A friend of mine also did this. Let me go to X and show you. One second, guys. Good. The thing's down. So someone reminded me that. This is funny. I'm not sure if this is friend or foe. Veronica Electron says, "Will there be a Pigman / Horseman crossover team up?" And she tagged Ethan and I guess Ricada Law and Matt Barr and Shane Davis, Mark Hamill. What the hell? That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, I just want to show you guys something quick. A friend of mine asked a question. By the way, that one ad that I had, not only did it, hmm, that's interesting. You took some part of the screen there. The ad that I have, okay, this is it. But the ad that I had, guys, it went up to 200 something thousand views, right? Let's see where it's at now. 212,000 views, 709 likes, 177 reposts. Um, what was I going to say? Okay, it also gave me a number of followers. I'm now at 26.2 thousand followers, and I've been stuck at 26.1 for as long as I can remember. I went to 26,000, went a little under, went back and forth. It's like at a standstill. Probably being shadow banned still, probably, no matter what is said on here. Yacarino, that liberal, left leaning head of X, said, if you do things that we don't like, you will lose your reach. I guess I don't like what I'm doing. But I just want to show you this one thing that a friend of mine posted. He asked Grok for its thoughts on Pigman. And Grok says this, and I'll tell you, the good, and also I will push back against one thing or two. My thoughts is Grok. It's a gutsy move in the industry that's largely steered clear of this kind of content. Most modern superhero comics play it safe or lean into progressive messaging. Pigman flips that on its head, embracing a raw, confrontational vibe. Artistically, it sounds impressive for a one man show, and the layered storytelling could make it more than just a polemic. But its in your face approach means it's not for everyone. Some will love the defiance, others will hate the optics. If you're into comics that take risks and don't mind a strong viewpoint, it might hit the mark. If you prefer nuance over a sledgehammer, maybe not. And my follow up is, while I like this, it's so funny to see this system, this AI machine, pop out these things. I say, but it is nuanced as well as a bludgeon. It's both in the real world story of the twins as well as in Pigman as the story goes along. But I like Grok's words about it. It's interesting, and I think Elon is out there to try to make the case that Grok is just a better AI. It's just a better because it's based on things that are actually true. It's not on. It's not based on ideology, on leftism. It's based on basically the truth. All right, guys. It looks like me and Trevor are going on about this. If anyone has any other comments, let me know. Let's all go back and forth, and push back against some stuff too. We can make the case. Um, Trevor says the unit needs a group, but it's still a selfish act, an exchange based on duty to each other. Absolutely, no doubt about it. It's not this selfish thing. It's like, and also you guys are, you know, taking it to the line, putting your lives on the line for the country, for its people. You think it's worth it if the worst happens, and you made it out. But if the worst happens, you believe it's worth it. The country is worth it to that ultimate extent. And that's why volunteer armies are the best armies. People sometimes they stupidly talk from their asses and say we need a draft again. It's like, fuck you. You wouldn't be talking about that if you were military age. Who are you to say that? And that's the attitude of selfishness, of selflessness. Excuse me. Um, where it's like, what do they say? What do you call it? What was I saying about that? I want to think about the group and about the. Uh, I don't know, but I'm going to read a little more of Trevor. Often you are acting out, Trevor said, often you are acting out a sense of obligation to your teammates and they the same. The greater idea of the Army or the USA doesn't really come into the platoon under fire. Grok is surprisingly accurate. Grok is pretty damn good, man. When I asked it the other day, I said, who are the anti-jihad superheroes? And one time they mentioned some Muslim superheroes, I don't know why, and then they only mentioned Pigman. Another time they said, well, Pigman is one of the anti-jihad superheroes, and what they do is it's like you just said Pigman, you didn't name anyone else. I think it's funny. So yeah, guys, let me try to pitch my comic again. I want you guys to back it. It's unlike anything out there. It takes on a lot of things, and I try to make it as simple as I can at the same time. While it takes on a lot of things culturally, politically, philosophically, psychologically, in many, many different ways, I just want to be, entertaining as well. Just make it sure that this is as entertaining as can be, all things considered. You don't want to get into the highfalutin space of making it inaccessible to the reader. You don't want that. You want it to be accessible. You want it to be understandable. And again, I have a 9-page preview now. 9-page preview. And okay, I will check out the comments actually. Okay. I will check that out after. I will answer some of those questions also, and I think I got some messages that I have to get back to about the Canadian cost because um, Canadians who bought it, you're going to get a $10 refund because it's $25 to ship to Canada as opposed to 35 in the rest of the world outside of America. Um, Trevor says, as a leader, I owed my subordinates quality leadership that looked after their interests, and they owed me their effort and loyalty. An exchange that is surprisingly beneficial for all. Absolutely. If anyone's working on all cylinders, it should work out well. If anyone's, I think, what did the Spartans say? Like, if there's one weak link, they can't have like a weak link there. They can't have someone who can't physically put that shield in a certain way at a certain time. They can't afford that as his unit. It was interesting also for an individualist like from Frank Miller, who has admired Ayn Rand, to have a collective narrative in the book. We march through the fields, through this, we march. I like that because in that way, he's talking about this unit that they are unified in this one goal to try to at least put a dent in this enemy's plans, if not take him out, put a dent in there. Um, Trevor says trust has to go up and down the ranks. Yeah. And if there's one weak element, it can collapse. It can hurt the unit in anything. I mean, when it comes to a story, if one aspect of it fails, it can hurt the whole thing. Not fundamentally, let's say everything's good except the lettering. The lettering's bad and botchy. It can hurt it. If everything's good except the coloring, it can hurt it. If everything's good, the story's great, the penciling is not that great, the inking's great. It's like, it has to be unified. It has to be quality across the line. It has to be, and quality people, like in the military as well. All right, guys, I'm just gonna, I think, call it a night. Thanks for being here. I do appreciate it. I'm refreshing this. I want to get more backers, as many as I can before the closing it out. And again, people ask when it'll be out. By the end of July, I'll be beginning to fulfill Pigman #1 and whatever else you guys ordered by the end of July. And it could be before. It could be before, but I want to give myself a little space, a little time to figure this out and space this out a little, see what I can do. I don't want to have that limit. I know some of the guys have like sometimes a week campaign or 20 days, 30 days, a few months, a few months. I want to see how far I can get it. Hamilton says, "Great stream, Bosch. Interesting topic. Thank you, man. I thought I was losing you guys. Me and Trevor were going back and forth on this. We both, excuse me, we both, you know, appreciate Brand's philosophy in a serious way, and it's just interesting because these things, I gotta say, I want these things mainstreamed also, as I want Pigman mainstreamed. I do. I want Pigman to be mainstreamed to the point where criticism of Islam, criticism of jihad, and wanting to see the enemy get it becomes normalized. And in that kind of culture, there'll be less tolerance for the scumbags. Because right now, I gotta say, our leaders can live with the deaths of the citizens, of the innocents who get slaughtered in Europe, across the world. They can live with it. That should never be the case. It should be an act of war every time it happens against innocent people. An act of war. It's not just, well, 3 died. No, that's an act of war. That's an act of jihad. And you have to declare a war on jihad. The dumb Bush didn't do that. He said Islam is peace, right? And then it's just this small extremist, right? No. Um, it is unacceptable. But thanks, guys. I do appreciate it. And we can follow up on this again. Tomorrow, I'm probably just going to talk about some other things, relatively lighter. I definitely want to push my campaign. Every time I'm going to stream, I'm going to push my campaign. But I also want to talk about things that I find interesting, and hopefully you guys do as well, like the selfishness and selfless battle, individualism versus collectivism, capitalism and socialism, freedom, tyranny, and so on. And it's all on that side. All the collectivists are on that side. All of the individualism are on that side, whether it's religious, whether it's Christians who basically to hell with the individual. Even though I will say that at least Christians do acknowledge the individual soul. It is acknowledged in there as a value, unlike Islam. It's not at all. There are no individuals in Islam. There's the ummah. There's the collective. There's the ones who submit to Allah. And I think sometimes I think they must resent the fact that not many people act in the name of Islam and act on jihad. The problem for them is this: that they're all human beings. Who the fuck wants to throw their lives away for this shit? Even on 9/11, the 19, the 15, 19 hijackers were Saudis, but out of 19 hijackers, only four, the pilots knew it was a suicide mission. The rest didn't know. Why is that? Because they're human beings. They're not as, you know, they don't want to throw their lives away completely. They're not fully committed to taking themselves out. So it was even difficult for them to get even those four guys, much less 19. And for all the talk they say about we uh, we love death, you love life, as if it's an insult. No, dummies. You hate life. You hate life. And that's why you're willing to fly planes to goddamn buildings and kill innocents and pretend that that's your passage to paradise. Sickening. And along those lines, this is what Pigman tries to stop. That kind of evil, that kind of, you know, unspeakable evil, turning airplanes into missiles. So, guys, yeah, I'm very pleased with this. Always want more, sure. You asked me, yeah, I want more. I definitely want more. I want more backers. I want a lot of backers, actually. And hopefully I can keep persuading you guys who are on the fence. I know some of you said, I think in a week or two, you'll do it, which is great. Absolutely. As Trevor says, the smallest minority on earth is the individual. Ayn Rand quote. Yep. Absolutely right. We talk about minorities, right? The individual. And also, I'm a little crack about those who talk about minorities, minority rights and stuff. So, okay, guys, one of the biggest minorities on earth is Muhammad cartoonists. You guys value them? No. No, they don't. Because it comes down to the point where there are no such thing as Muhammad cartoonists. There's me, and I don't even know who else does it regularly. Charlie Hebdo, they stopped doing it. If anyone does it, they do it in the privacy of their own home. They don't put it out there. I think I even asked Grok, who draws Muhammad today? They said Bosch Falston. And then they say some other ones like Molly Norris and Charlie Hebdo. They haven't done it in a while. Um, it shouldn't be that way. It really should, especially after Charlie Hebdo massacre. A cartoonist should have got together and said, all right, fuck you guys. That's it. I'm going to draw this. And if many of us did that, if there was a benefit book like they used to have in the old days of Marvel DC, after 9/11, famines and whatnot, have a free speech book. Have everyone draw Muhammad. It sounds impossible. That's a problem then. I want to see John Region's version of Muhammad. I want to see Frank Miller's. I want to see Jim Lee's. I want to see all these. I want to see Comics Gay guys. I want to see everyone draw it in some kind of benefit book. That would have been wild. Imagine that, guys. And again, if those things are impossible, it doesn't. It's ridiculous. It's like it shouldn't be impossible. People still tell me, like, even with the work I do, is that sometimes I get surprised that you do it. It's like it's still shocking people who've known me for a while, and I don't have time to even think about that. I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess so. I guess so. Even though to me it's just a given. This is my life. Trevor says, "Won't someone please think of the Muhammad cartoonist?" That's hilarious. I mean, it's funny and then it's not. Um, I got that essay, Draw Muhammad challenge, where I challenge anyone and everyone in terms of free speech. Challenge Frank Miller explicitly, more so him, because again he talked a big game about free speech for years. In the 80s, 90s, he was always talking about it. Early 2000s, and he stopped talking about it in 2005. Why? Because that was a Muhammad cartoon crisis. He never talked about it, never spoke out against those things, never drew Muhammad, as far as I know. I think Baton Lash, my friend, told me that he was talking to Frank, and he mentioned me about Drum Muhammad, and he said, "Oh yeah, was it the Drum Muhammad Day? Yeah, I missed it, Frank. Miss it or not, you don't have to wait for there is no official Drum Muhammad Day anyway. It's May 20th, but who does it? Who does it now? Nobody. That was a Molly Norris initiation, who's our cartoonist for the Seattle Times. She didn't quite understand the fact that these people actually do want to murder you. So she thought it was cute to go out there and say, "Hey guys, everybody draw Muhammad Day." She said that. Before you knew it, she disappeared under a new name. She was not working at the Seattle Times anymore. She's just gone, gone, and not good, not good at all. She didn't understand the issue. Um, Trevor says, I've drawn a few. When do you want to collect them? They just don't hate me as much. I, the only ones who responded to my Draw Mom challenge were non-artists. And I respect that. And I told him, I said, I'm not gonna put your name out there, but I want it in my third volume of Mom cartoons, which I gotta say is building up to the point where I probably could make one at some point. I have enough Mom cartoons, and I have, I think, half a dozen individuals who did that. So definitely love to see it, Trevor, and I'll put it in there. I remember Bat and Drew Muhammad. It was like the old, what was it called, man? In the back of comics sometimes for the famous artist school, we have like the, what do you call it? The line work where the you follow the letters, you make the lines. He did that for Muhammad, and it was such a creative way to do it, and also a nostalgic way. It was awesome. Love that. Because there was a time, I think maybe it was after Charlie Hebdo, where people were just fed up and they actually did it. Um, Guys, you take care. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Trevor, for the great give and take. And you guys let me know. Maybe this wasn't to your liking. Sorry, but this is something that interests me very, very much. Um, Trevor says, should do a live stream, Troll Muhammad Day. It would probably get yanked. Yeah, it probably would. Yeah, Batten did have balls. Batten was a good man. That was awesome. I love that. Um, Guys, you take care. Be well. One last time, if you guys want to back a comic like no other out there right now, consider backing Pigman. I would really appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much, man. John, thanks. I wasn't sure because usually there's a lot of give and take here, and it stopped cold at a certain point. Is that because a little pushback maybe from the ideas? I don't know. I don't know. Um, I love to. This is such an important issue. I'd love to give and take with you guys here because again, I know we're going to disagree. A number of you out there, I know it. Definitely back it now. Trevor says back it now, guys. Come on, you got to listen, Trevor. Selfishly, but truly, have a great night, John. Appreciate it. It's definitely an important selflessness versus selfishness. Is very important, crucial, really. In what kind of society we live in, where we have selfless people who don't give a damn for themselves, and therefore, and if you guys, this is also a simple little observation here. If you don't give a damn for yourself, how the fuck can you really care for others? You really can't. The same principle where if you can't love yourself, you can't love others. We all accept that in a lot of ways, right? We do. Then how the hell can you be selfless and pretend that you are all for others, but accept yourself? No, that's not the way it works. So again, guys, back Pigman, I would really appreciate it. The Islamic background of twins comes to the forefront of their lives in 9/11, which is echoed by the comic book within Pigman vs. Super Jihad. I would really appreciate your support. If you're on the fence, let me know. I'll try to persuade you. I can tell you what it's about, give you some incentive here. I got a number of products here also. At this point, they are a product. I don't want to, diminish my work. It's art when I'm doing it. It's art, but when it comes to this point where I'm campaigning for it, these are products that you guys can choose from. These are rewards. Um, in the process, of course, it's art. The creative process is art. Once you put it in the marketplace, it is a product. Even though I'm thinking average Elias thinks of it as a product as he's quote unquote writing, whatever that means, whatever that looks like. Anyway, Thanks again, guys. I appreciate you being here. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care. Be well, man. Thank you. No, not at all, Trevor. No, it's my fault. I sort of shanghaied the chat. No, we were going back and forth. And again, this is it's funny. I don't go out there to tackle tough, I guess, some subjects just for the hell of it. I don't. It's something that appeals to me. These things really appeal to me. These are life or death issues. Whether taking on jihad or whether thinking about what kind of society we want to live in. We don't want a society of selfless people who don't give a damn for themselves and therefore can't really give a damn for others. We want a society of people who value themselves and who try to make as rational decisions for themselves and therefore their loved ones as they can. It's a better world that way. But there's a resistance there because again, it's this religious idea. It's this even a secular idea for communism in that sense, where you don't matter. It's the collective. You don't matter. It's our religious followers. You don't matter. And so on and so on. It's soul destroying. These ideas. Barb Rogers, thank you very much, Barb. $5 super sticker from Barb Rogers. Shiba dog and a composition. Okay, so I want to ask you, Barb. Maybe if you can message me, are you the one who got the Pigman commission? Because I know I had a few feelers about that. If you could let me know, I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much for the super sticker. Let me know, Barb. I know people were asking me to do certain things. I know I got one, but I haven't heard directly from them yet. It could be you. If you could let me know, I would appreciate it. Um, okay, guys, I am gonna get going. I do got to take care of some stuff, and it's a pleasure. And I'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon at some point around 1:30, I believe, and I'll get back to something having to do with Pigman and whatever else comes up, and then I think maybe later on I'll just continue about the selfishness versus selflessness battle, individualism versus collectivism, tyranny versus liberty, and so on and so on. Okay, Barb, I see. I got. I wonder who it is then, because I know someone wanted me to do certain thing, but eventually we'll figure it all out. Thank you very much, Barb. Again, I appreciate it. Thanks for your support, guys. Thanks for all the backers. I really appreciate it, guys. Um, I'm on track. This is good. Um, I don't have to have $3.7 million. I'm making one comic for now. I'll be very pleased if you guys can back it. I want to get it bigger and bigger. Clearly, I do. I want to get a lot more backers. Take care, Trevor. I'll be working tomorrow so everyone else can speak. It's all good, Trevor, man. I really appreciate when you're here. I really do. Thank you very much, Trevor. I've known Trevor for a while, guys, many years now. Actually, on and off. I just see him at the San Diego Comic Con mainly. Um, you guys take care. Be well. Trevor, thank you. Barb, appreciate it. Thanks, John. Art, thank you, guys. Take care. Be well. Take care.